Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Black as night, erase death from our sight. White as light, mighty hectate make it right.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Cast a circle, spark some incense, and grab a cup of tea. It's time for the Cousins Coven podcast. I'm Sharon.
And this is Wendy. Welcome back to the Coven, you guys. We are so happy to have you here today.
Yes, it's a lovely spring day here in Oregon, and I hope you all are having a wonderful week yourselves.
Yes. So happy to be back. I know this is only like episode 3 of this season, but I feel like I'm just still revitalized. Is that what I mean? Yeah, words.
Yes, I do too. Like, I have a whole new love and energy for this podcast that, like, you know, it's just nice to breathe life back into our project and have fun.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So this week we're going to be talking about the cryptid Batsquatch, which I'm super excited to talk about. But first we want to just do a little bit of catch up and maybe talk some ghost stories and all that fun stuff before we get into it. So Wendy, what do you got for me this week?
My gosh, I have this dream. Now, keep in mind, it's just a dream, but it felt like it was real because that's how I dream sometimes. I had this dream that I was at our grandma's house, and our grandma lives on a farm, and she has this kind of decent sized living room, I would say, with kind of this L-shaped couch in there. And she has this huge picture window. And so, I had this dream that my daughter and I were at grandma's house and grandma wasn't there. Nobody was there. We were just supposed to be cleaning the house so that when she got back, it would be nice and clean for her. So Clarissa was like, I'm sorry, I guess I shouldn't have said her name, but it's too late now. She's been on the show.
Right, she's been on the show.
Yeah. So she was like cleaning the long part of the couch that's facing towards the window, but her back was towards the window. And I was on the other side where kind of the recliner section part of the couch is. And I was just folding blankets, and all of a sudden something kind of caught my eye out the window, and I looked, and all of a sudden the clouds went from light and bright down to dark. Like it got super stormy all at once outside and became dark. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then all of a sudden I see this like craft come down towards the lawn. And it sort of looked like, you know, the top of the rockets that go off into space. And it's like that top part where it's sort of dome shaped almost. And It has these things coming down. So it sort of looked like that, but it was this shiny metallic. And I was like, what the heck? And I'm all, Clarissa, turn around. And she's like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden we went from grandma's living room and we were on the ship.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And all these beings are there. And it's like these different types of beings. Some look like they're human and some look like they're not. And they have us in this room, like we're both together and we're wearing like these like white suits. They're not like suits, but I was like the zippered type jacket.
Like a jump up. Yeah.
Like a jump up. Yeah.
What do you call those? A jumper?
Like a jumpsuit. Like something you'd wear if you were in prison, but it's all white.
Yeah. So, like a mechanic suit.
Yeah. So we're wearing those, and I'm like trying to take everything in. And sitting there just kind of looking around, and it just looks like this room that was all metallic, but with like all these different kind of windows around it, like people were watching us. And they started ministering these tests to us, but it's like these really strange tests, not like the tests that I've read about that people are like getting probed and that kind of stuff.
Thank
it's
God.
Like, yeah, I think it is. But they have these like, first they start by giving these different candied balls to us, and we have to tell them what flavor it is. So I'm like, what the heck? This is the weirdest test I've ever done. So I'm like eating these candies and telling them the flavor. And I can see Clarissa's like on the other side of the room, and we're doing the same test at the same time, but we can't hear each other. And then like they give us these kind of like paper tests where you have to bubble in and answer all the questions.
Scantron?
Yes, like a Scantron. And then they do these mental tests and these physical tests. So it's like literally they're just testing the capacity of who we are, what we're made of, but without probing us. And and it's like all of that seems to take a very long amount of time. Like it seems like it takes forever. And I'm just seeing bits and parts of the tests that we're doing. Like I'm watching a video. And then all of a sudden we're back in the living room in the same exact spot that we were before. And the sky is clear. There's no ship. And like the only thing that stuck in my mind as we left the ship, as they were taking us back, they're like, we're sending you back now. And I was like, what was the point of this? And they were like, we're just testing you. That's all this is we're testing you. We're testing people. We're trying to figure things out. And then all of a sudden we're back in Grandma's living room. And I look over at Clarissa and I'm like, did that just happen? She's like, I don't know. It feels like a fever dream. And that's all. That was my whole dream. Like I woke up and I was like, wait, was that a dream? Was that real? I can't tell.
Okay, you're having the kind of dreams I wish I was having. Like, I've been so tired lately that I'll just like fall asleep, but like I'll think about how like I want to manifest like prophetic dreams. I want messages from my ancestors or my gods, my deities in dreams, but like I just haven't been manifesting it. I've been sleeping soundly. So this sounds amazing that you're getting this cool dream. And my immediate thoughts are like, did you ask Clarissa if she had the same dream?
Well, I talked to her about it last night, and she just said, that's weird. That's all she said was, that's weird.
Yeah, if you guys had the sage share dream, then I'd be like, hell yeah, you were abducted.
Yeah.
But I'm still not like gonna like,
rule it out.
Yeah, rule it out. Exactly. Because knowing you, the aliens would just bring her along in your dream for comfort or something.
Sure.
So that you don't feel as nervous. I don't know. Like it could.
I'm not creeped out.
Even if it's just like a mental travel type thing, like astral projection or remote viewing type situation. Who knows how aliens communicate with humans? So what if?
What if? And I love how I was at our grandma's house where I feel completely safe. Like I always feel 100% safe when I'm there. So it's just like, what the heck?
I've also like talked on this podcast about having paranormal dreams start in her house. So there's something about Grandma's house.
Right. It's like a place of safety and then we're ripped from it to go somewhere else.
Yeah. It's this portal, a vortex. Mm-hmm. So you probably told me, but I've already forgot. What did you say the aliens look like?
They were different. Everybody was different. I would say there were probably somewhere between 10 and 12 in the room. Every one of them was doing a different type of test for us. And
no grays?
I didn't see little gray aliens. I saw like the blonde Venusians. I saw blue skinned, which I think are the Pleiadians or Arcturians. And then I think there were these tall gray aliens, but not the little ones, and no reptilians, thank goodness. I don't think I could have handled that.
Yeah, right. We don't trust you reptilians, not yet.
Mm-hmm. And for some reason, there was some like dude in a military hat there too.
So like some
like
sort of
human
officer who knows what's up.
Right.
Looking for humans who are open to being tested on.
Right. But he looked human. But I'm not saying that he was human.
Oh.
I'm just saying that I think he looked human.
Gotcha.
Like maybe he was transplanted here, but he wasn't really from here.
That's amazing. I love this dream. Thank you for sharing it.
You're welcome. What do you have?
So I was like looking around Reddit. There's a lot of different forums I'm falling into for like humanoid encounters, hauntings, ghosts, and
the Reddit rabbit hole.
Yeah, I came across this story that was posted like 3 days ago on Reddit that made me think of you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so this was posted by u/01166 on Reddit Ghosts. It's
Okay.
called The Tall, Dark, Armored Ghost.
Oh my gosh, already I'm like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Is this my story?
Yeah. So basically, here I'm reading the story now. These are their words. So basically, I don't know if this is the right place for this, but here we go. Around last year, I was sleeping and everything was normal. I woke up and everything was normal. Mom and I talked since I'm still living with her at this point, and she tells me about a ghost or demon thing standing above me. Kind of surprised, I asked her, what does it look like? Any key features, stuff like that. She says it looks like an armored figure with a huge axe. Nothing about the face or anything else of importance. A year passes, and I don't think much about it until my girlfriend brought it up, the same thing 2 days ago. Tall, dark, armored figure with a huge axe. But this time, she sees its face and a type of mask that doesn't cover his chin or forehead. Tried looking up similar masks, and the only two similar things I could find that she said were about the same were maybe Japanese masks that look like kitsunes, I think. Honestly, I just want some help looking for the mask and maybe someone else's thoughts for what it might mean. Also, if it helps any, my girlfriend said it looked like it was protecting me or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thanks for reading, even if you don't respond. So I remember you telling us you had an armored ghost as a kid.
Yeah, like pretty much from the time that I can my memories, like used to have these. I at first, like as I looked back at it, I didn't know if I created him as my protector because I used to have what I thought were nightmares, but I wasn't sleeping. Like as a child, that things would come and visit me in my room.
Like
and
ghosts.
So yeah, and other entities. And so, of course, at the time I was a child and could not put names or anything to these things. I was just freaked out because it didn't look like my mom or my dad or anybody else that I knew or anything I had seen to that point. And so a lot of times I would just go into my parents' room and be like, something is freaking me out. And my dad was always adamant that I could not sleep in their room. So sometimes I would sneak in and sleep under their bed so they wouldn't see me.
My dad was the same way, like, this is no kid zone.
Yeah, which I get because I am a parent and understand that
Boundaries.
You need privacy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Boundaries, yeah. But as a child, I thought my parents were being awfully rude to me. Like they did not understand the things that I was seeing.
Probably not.
And I couldn't put it into words. And so I remember after a bit of time, I don't even know how much time I should say, but I think it must have been when I was around 5. My parents would adamantly be like, from now on, we're keeping our door closed and we will hear it if you come in. Like for a long time, they kept the door open so they could hear if something happened to me. But I think around the age of 5, they were like, our bedroom door is now closed. So when our door is closed, you can't come in. And so at that point, that's when I started seeing this figure. And so when I look back at it now, I'm like, did I create this figure or did I summon this figure to take care of me? Like he would always be in my doorway and he was like taking up the whole space of the door, and definitely was in a full armored suit, with the mask and an axe of some sort. So maybe I saw him at like in Scooby-Doo.
He had an axe too?
Yeah, he had an axe.
Just like this girl's fucking guy.
Right.
Oh my god. So that's why I immediately thought of you. I couldn't remember if you told me he had an axe or a sword. To me, it sounds kind of frightening. Like you would just look over and he's almost just like there standing there, not moving, maybe just looking forward.
Mm-hmm. And he was always very silent. Mm-hmm. I never heard him ever. Never. And like, he must have stayed with me for a long time. Like, yeah, up until high school, I would see him. And then there was a point in high school where I kind of turned off my ability. I had been ridiculed so much that I had to turn my ability off because I couldn't handle the stress of being in high school and having people think I was fucking insane. And, high school's hard enough as it is. So to have these type of things, still having this ability,
Yeah.
I just shut it down. And that's when I stopped seeing him. And I've seen him since I've turned my ability back on. I've seen him twice, I think. And it took a long time for him to come back.
That's
so maybe
cool.
He's just always there and I don't realize it.
So, like, it's neat that the girlfriend in this story also thought protection vibes. You think protection vibes. Like, this guy doesn't come across as scary. He's like a gatekeeper, maybe, keeping all that other entities away from, like, young girls or children or whoever who just needs it.
Right. And maybe he only let in the things that wouldn't actually harm me. And now that I know that, I'm like, okay, so if he's always there, that means the things that do come to me aren't able to harm me.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. What would you tell this person, like, if you could say anything to them about their experience?
Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would just say, don't be afraid of it. And you don't always have to have all of the answers, but maybe just know that they're there to protect you and don't, just eliminate that fear. Fear is such a big thing and we're afraid of so much in this world. And I don't think we need to fear that after that other realm, so to speak.
It's cool that, like, they're working with us and it's like this guy's apparently, what if it's the same one? I don't know if the mask sounds similar to you, or maybe there's just like armored dudes in general who protect people.
Yeah, I wouldn't list it as Japanese in any way, sort of form. When I see it, it reminds me of like those old knights, like of medieval? The Templar, maybe. Yeah, like the medieval, like total metal mask over the face. I didn't get any Japanese vibes. I always felt like medieval for sure, like you were saying.
It makes you wonder too, like, was this thing of the earth at one point in time, like a fallen warrior who continues that kind of like duty and sense of honor on the other side?
That'd be so awesome.
Yeah. Or are they just like an otherworldly being? Who knows?
Right.
But I just thought it was so cool that we found something really similar to yours. And I'm wondering how many other people have seen this armored ghost.
Yeah. If anybody out there has, let us know.
Please, yeah. Send us an email, cousinscoven2@gmail.com. That's where we'll see most of our messages.
Yeah.
So, should we get into Batsquatch?
Please, I want to hear what you have.
Okay,
and
awesome.
I'm going to be down here writing questions, I feel like.
Okay. So let's talk about our cryptid. So Batsquatch is probably one that you may or may not be familiar with. I don't know, but it is considered one of Washington's like official cryptids, like the big one. I think a lot of people would kind of think Bigfoot, but he's been seen so much in Washington that he's kind of became their little mascot, as you will. There's technically reports of Batsquatch-like creatures from all the way from Mount Shasta, California to Butler County, Pennsylvania. But like I said, there's been a lot in Washington. And you might even be asking yourself, okay, what is a Batsquatch? I've never heard of this.
Tell us.
He's an immense creature. Some people were saying he's like the size of weighs the size of 2 grizzly bears. He's half ape, half bat monster. He's always described as having piercing yellow eyes, blue-tinged fur, sometimes having razor-sharp teeth or just like normal, kind of almost like human teeth, depending on the encounter. A lot of times he has a wolf-like muzzle, and then these bird bat-like wings and a really broad torso. And these wings, they can span up to 50 feet wide.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he takes up a lot of space. And he's said to have these psychic abilities. They're kind of like telekinetic powers that can affect man-made objects like car engines, radios, and television sets. So like turning things on or off, or maybe making like phones ring if he's in the vicinity, things like that. Mm. And numerous eyewitness sightings began to spread around and after the Mount St. Helens eruption in March of 1980. And that unleashed massive destruction at the time. It flattened over 230 square miles of trees and buildings, spewing intense amount of ash across an 11-state area. and had 1.5 million metric tons of sulfur dioxide just into the air, and creating the largest debris avalanche ever recorded.
Yeah.
Massive
It was
destruction.
intense. As somebody who lived through it, it was intense.
What do you remember from that? Like, just like
I
ash
think I've
raining
talked
down?
about this. Yeah, I thought it was snowing outside. I think I've said that before. And I remember like running out my front door with like boots on. Like I grabbed my boots and my jacket and started running outside. And my mom's like, "Get in, this is toxic." And I'm like, "It's snowing." And then I couldn't breathe. And I was like, "Okay, I'm going back in."
How many days do you think that lasted where like it was unsafe to go outside? Like weeks?
I thought it was like over a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, I was a child, so, you know.
Yeah, I've only heard about
forever.
it from like you and some other people in our family of just like seeing the ash come down.
Mm-hmm. It was intense.
So I'll get back into some of the damage here I have notes on. The eruption was so explosively violent that it completely obliterated the top of the mountain. So it actually shaved the summit from around 9,000 feet to 8,000 feet and leaving this huge crater now. And by the time the dust cleared, dozens of people were dead and hundreds of homes were destroyed. And the 1980 eruption is to this day the single most destructive volcanic event in U.S. history. So yeah, kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And this led to...
And potentially killed some Bigfoot.
That's true. Yeah. So it kind of stirred about a bunch of wildlife. A bunch of creatures kind of got disrupted from their homes. And so one of those supposed creatures is the Batsquatch.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the thought of Batsquatch and Bigfoot living together.
That would be a great sitcom of the 80s.
For sure.
But
it's like bosom buddies.
Bosom buddies. Bosom buddies.
Yeah.
So, okay, this led to Batsquatch. Word of mouth stories being spread all over Washington. And this is before he had a name. So people would just be like, I saw this humanoid creature. It was kind of like ape-like, glowing eyes, huge bat wings. And people would just kind of see it flying overhead. A lot of times he would be spotted just in areas that were really remote and where all the volcanic destruction was. So he was just kind of like chilling out in those areas. And a lot of people just felt he had this sinister nature. And they would feel this huge sense of dread when they were by him. And there were even some claims of killed livestock and killed pets after this. But not a lot of this has been documented in writing. It was all just hearsay. So some are just saying, it's just folklore. It's just legends. Like, it's not real. And with all that major true life trauma and destruction going around, people weren't really focusing on Batsquatch. But the thing about it is like we said, the timing of the volcano, did it make all these cryptids, leave their homes? Did it leave like this weird portal where interdimensional beings could just like enter our reality? Like what got shooken up because of this eruption? So did he wake up from hibernation? Did he get taken out of his cave? This is just people like wondering like, how did he come about? What's going on here? And it really isn't until the 90s that we get our first written account about him and where he gets his name. And this sighting was in 1994 in rural Washington. And after this happened, they published a newspaper article that really helped make Batsquatch a part of Washington state cryptid history. And this event takes place on April 19th, 1994. He was witnessed by 18-year-old Brian Canfield. He was driving a truck at night near Buckley, Washington, in the foothills of Mount Rainier. And Brian's truck came to a sudden and abrupt stop. Even though he had his foot on the gas, he didn't apply the brakes. It just stopped in the middle of the road. But his headlights were still on, and some of this I'm going to be taking from the article itself. So it says, his headlights cut a hole through the night. He sat wondering what was wrong. Then he saw this pair of feet descending, bird feet, claw feet. And then the legs, the torso, and the chest. And then these massive wings unfolded, attached to the back of his broad shoulders. He says the creature was about 9 feet tall and about 30 feet away. He describes the blue-tinted fur, yellowish eyes, shaped like a piece of pie, tufted ears, white teeth, no fangs, and a face like a wolf. And then it landed in the middle of the street with like a dust-raising thud. And this is, again, no more than 30 feet in front of him. And Brian's just holding on tight to the steering wheel, looking at this thing. And he says the creature, it was just standing there, staring at me like it was resting, like it didn't know what to think. I was scared. It raised the hair on me. I didn't feel threatened. I just felt out of place. It kept looking at him with a deep stare, like right through him, he says, standing perfectly still, and they just stared at each other back and forth for several minutes. He says that his fingers began to twitch, the creature's, and then it spread its wings again, even out wider, and when it completely unfolded, they were as wide as the road itself. And then the creature turns his head and looks back at Brian, and then starts flapping its wings, and then slowly rises. And this turbulence was so great that his truck is actually swaying from the creature's wings.
My gosh.
Which is pretty intense if you're 30 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly the creature kind of begins to rise and then take off in the direction of Mount Rainier. A few minutes later, his truck just starts, and then he took off as fast as he could and goes straight to home. He does live with his parents, and he ends up trying to wake them up. He's like got this shock on his face, and he's kind of freaking them out, and they like really believe what he's saying. He convinces his dad, like, hey, we've got to get a gun, get a camera, we're going out, and we're looking for this thing. They end up driving around. They didn't see anything. And then the next day, the kids at high school, like, he starts telling them the stories. Some of them believe him. And then others, of course, are just going to make fun of him mercilessly for this.
Sure.
Like, oh, yeah, whatever, dude. But his friends, I guess, they come up with the name Batsquatch. And they draw the sketch of him, which I did send over to Whitney. And Whitney, what the heck was that? Wendy. I sent over to. And what do you think about the sketch of Batsquatch?
I mean, bye-bye, Mothman. Batsquatch is my new man. No, I mean, he looks a little bit like a Bigfoot body with a very tiny head and these ginormous wings. That's what it reminds me of. So I'm like, did he actually see a Bigfoot that could fly?
Whoa! Didn't even occur to me. But the whole, like, the face of a wolf. I'm not sure if Bigfoot could go that way. Obviously, there could be different types. A lot of people like to compare him to Mothman, of course. And so, like, even you were like, bye-bye, Mothman. It kind of is interesting that he's like a winged creature with almost like human-esque body. And so I'm like, is he an alien? I remember we talked about like guy in suit possibly with Mothman.
Right. It's just that the way his body is, like, reminds me of the stories and even the things that we've looked at when it comes to Bigfoot. We had an opportunity to go up to the North American Bigfoot Center and remember how like the beefy legs of Bigfoot are ginormous. That thing's got abs underneath that hair. So to me, I'm like, is this a hairless Bigfoot?
What if Bigfoot do shave? Like, it could be a personal choice.
Could be.
Okay, I like that you're thinking of this because it's not even any theories that I've come across, and I love that about you, that you're able to look at this and come up with a new theory.
A new theory.
Yes.
And the blue tinted fur. This is just, we've heard of blue tinted furred Bigfoot, like in the Midwest, and I think like in the Appalachian area, there might be a Bigfoot that has blue hair. Yeah.
I'm kind of trying to remember two blue-footed haired beasts that we've come across. Yeah. So it's not completely unrealistic. Also, alien, interdimensional being.
Sure.
I think all these things definitely make sense.
And a lot of the Wolfman sightings also would have blue hair. Yeah.
Yes, the Beast of Bray Road. So this article, it was written by C.R. Roberts. He was writing for the Tacoma News-Tribune, and he interviewed Brian only a few days after the encounter. I love that because it was like fresh on his mind. And the reporter, he said he was really convinced of his sincerity. Like he thought it was real. And this was published again April 24th, 1994. And the reasons why the reporter believed his story, I kind of just reflects on the Times itself. He's like, he seemed really genuine and honest. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't listen to heavy metal. He doesn't play Dungeons or Dragons. Doesn't
Oh my
believe in
God.
UFOs. I believe him. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he was just like a straight edge kid. And so that's why they're like,
Mhm.
we believe Brian. He saw this thing. I don't know, if it's just a folklore thing, but I'm going to say I believe it.
Yeah.
We do
I
have...
mean,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I never heard of Batsquatch until like maybe the last couple of years. I had never heard of Batsquatch before.
Yeah.
And we live in the Pacific Northwest. So I was just like,
Right.
who the fuck is Batsquatch?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's got like half Batman, half Sasquatch. Put that together,
Right.
Batsquatch. Never heard of it myself. I feel like if you were to Google Batsquatch, which I have been doing recently, you're just going to come across this rogue IPA because it's like one of their beers is called Batsquatch.
Yes.
And so I feel like that's more famous than actual Batsquatch.
Right. Now, I want to know in the IPA, did they also give him yellow eyes?
Ooh,
I'm like,
we could easily Google that. He actually has just a bat head on that one and looks way less man-like on the Batsquatch IPA. So there is different versions of what he looks like. Let's see if he has the eyes.
I'm all yellow eyes.
Yes.
In the medical world, this consists of liver problems. So I'm really worried.
Yeah, he just looks kind of like a humanoid bat on the Rogue IPA. Yellow eyes, they went with the fangs, bat wings.
Great.
So yeah, it's cute. I think that also kind of keeps the legend afloat a little bit because like on the back of or on the side of the can it even says like stories from Mount St. Helens. No one really knows about him, but he sure does taste good or something silly like that.
Oh, gross.
Right? I don't even know. I've definitely noticed that like there's something about wine and beer and cider. They all there's a lot of occult labels and a lot of cryptid labels. And I to me, I buy that shit if I see it.
Yeah, me too. It's endearing.
I just bought one the other day that was Voodoo Lady's apple cider just because it had a lady doing magic on it. And I was like, I'm going to drink this.
Yeah. I found one that has like this kind of sugar skull effect on there. And I was like, getting this one.
Yep.
7 Moon wine, getting this one.
All of that.
Yeah.
So I do have one other sighting. There were plenty more, but I just focused on the main story that kind of made him famous. Great. And then just a second one just to kind of like prove, other people have seen him too. And this is a more recent sighting. This is from 2009 in California. Mm-hmm. And again, this is near a mountain. This one we're near the paranormal hotspot Mount Shasta.
I knew it.
Yes. So our listeners should already know this, but Mount Shasta has also been known as a magnet for weird happenings, UFOs, Bigfoots, all this weird stuff going on over there. People might think it's a gateway, dimension to other realms, Venusians, all that crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. So now you can add Batsquatch to that list of weird things. Apparently at this time, there were 2 hikers who saw Batsquatch come flying out of a cave on the mountainside. And this is from their description. Me and my friends were hiking around Mount Shasta, and out of one of the crevices flew out this big creature. I mean, this thing was huge. It was as tall as a man, as stocky as Hulk Hogan, and had leathery wings. I believe the wingspan was about 50 feet from one end to the other. I was holding up my camera, but was paralyzed with fear as the thing flew by. I didn't get a picture. Sorry. It was flying or gliding past. It seemed to have a head of a bat. I would think it had the head of a bat or maybe more like a fox. And they just came out with this story. And so that is one of our more recent sightings.
Big body, little head.
Everyone's describing him as beefy. Hulk Hogan?
Yeah. I'm like, so this dude works out. Big time. I want to know what his diet consists of.
If you're going to be flying around... Yeah, because like a bat eats more like insects and things or fruit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe he's like that.
Maybe. Interesting. And I want to know what I want to know what.
Okay, we have a delay. Maybe we should wait for
we have a little bit of a delay. Sorry.
I don't know if we'll catch up, but I think maybe sorry for editing purposes. I want to cut some of that.
Okay.
How
It's
are we
never
doing
coming
now?
out. I think we're doing better. I hear you. I see you.
We're back. Okay.
Yeah, it seems good.
So,
Sorry about that, guys.
yeah, what is his diet? No one has mentioned what he eats. No, I guess some people, these are just hearsay rumors about killing livestock and dogs, but I didn't find a lot of solid evidence on that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is one of those elusive more sightings where I think like if you do come forward, you're going to get ridiculed, you're going to be called crazy, people aren't going to believe you. But a lot of people
that's
have
all
seen this.
paranormal. Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of sightings in Texas as well. So it's not just a couple here or there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Love the whole blue fur, tiny head, might be on steroids.
Right.
Just kind of,
yeah. Beefy boy. So I'm going to go back to the Batsquatch and Mothman kind of link. So when I was researching him, a lot of parapsychologists, a lot of cryptozoologists, they keep pointing out the similarities between these two and the phenomenon. A lot of the stuff that they are going to point to is that they both kind of were seen around cataclysmic events, if you count Mount St. Helens and then the bridge collapse, the Silver River Bridge in West Virginia. That's when people started seeing Mothman. They both have powers to affect man-made objects, because if you remember the Mothman prophecies, he was messing with phones. There was a lot of poltergeist activity going on with a lot of people's objects, just going off and things like that. And they both have these piercing eyes and these wings and just kind of like beefy bodies. So are they harbingers of doom? Are they from a similar place, similar, creatures?
Are they in a sense, maybe they're the same, just different colored eyes, because Mothman had red eyes.
Yeah, and didn't people
and
compare
in some
him?
cases yellow. Yeah, some cases they were yellow.
Yeah, and I feel like people would say Batman with Mothman too. Like they didn't want to call him Batman because Batman was already a thing, but there were some descriptions of bat-likeness, if I recall correctly.
I think you're right, because I had read some more recent stories on Mothman of him being seen in Chicago. I think I did something on that last year. And I remembered in those cases, in some instances, his eyes were yellow and they did think he was bat-like. So bat-like, bird-like. I don't think Mothman had the blue skin. But
no, I don't think so either. Probably gray, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, they just have a different, color. They can still be similar. I definitely think it could be interdimensional alien type creature.
Or this is his protective suit. I mean, I like to think that he just takes off the suit and somebody else gets out. It's this scrawny little dude. Yeah.
All creepy.
He's all, that was fun. I got to be beefy for a day.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, is he here for observation? Does he travel back and forth between his realm and ours?
Is he really from this realm and he's just an extinct, like almost extinct creature? I mean, that's in my mind what Bigfoot is. Like sometimes I go back and forth, like, is Bigfoot just a dude had sex with a monkey?
Oh no.
Like he got really hard up and wanted to try it out. Now we have Bigfoot. But I don't know. It's hard to say what these things are, what these creatures are. I totally believe in all of them, I feel like.
Yeah. Ancient hominoid, humanoid, whatever you say.
Right. Interdimensional. There's so many possibilities. And like part of me is like, I don't want any of them to be found because I fear that we will put them in a zoo or be horrible to them.
Oh yeah. Like if we were to just like catch Batsquatch in a net, I think that people would kill him and dissect him to try to figure it out. Right.
And then that's not right. It's just animal cruelty.
Yeah, then we'll disrupt all the Batsquatch community. They'll come after us out of their caves and it'll be a nightmare.
Right. I mean, if we approached him peacefully and just said, "Hey, I want to have a talk,"
Yeah.
and he talked to us, then I'd be okay with that.
Right. So I think that the whole Harbinger of Doom thing and the whole Mount St. Helens thing, sometimes I'm wondering myself when I look into it, because I can't find written accounts. Is it just bullshit? Is he just a creature who just happened to be unearthed at that time?
Right.
I don't know.
Or is it something completely different and more in the celestial realm? So, like, is it somebody who is just watching over us? I mean, there's like all these, right. There's all these possibilities. And I mean, I could bring out, I'm not a religious person anymore, but I do think of, I have read the Bible many times, and I do know that there are creatures in there that do have wolf-like heads and wings. In the stories in Ecclesiastes and the times of Enoch, there were these beings that looked like strange creatures.
Totally. Like demons and angels have some weird ass descriptions, so I don't doubt it.
And these are just names we give, so
what are these things? These ancient
are these things?
Yeah. I wonder if they're disturbed at all by us. It sounds like he doesn't really care, but he wants to stay like under the radar for sure.
I'm like, is he practicing magic? I want to know.
Does he have an altar in his cave? What does he eat?
Is it Japan? Like, I need to know these things. What does he eat?
Is he the Pegasus of Bigfoots? That's what you made me think. He just has wings.
I'm like, what's this guy bench pressing? He's got some massive arms.
He does. He's a beefy boy.
Yeah.
So we can add that to our hot cryptid list.
Yes. I'm like, damn. She's got it going on.
Yeah. We'll have to put this sketch somewhere in the show notes so you can see what we're talking about. Because if you look at the IPA, no, not that version.
Yeah, doesn't give him justice.
But from
this
the
is
article,
like that. This reminds me of that gold statue they have in Point Pleasant
of the Mothman.
Mothman.
Yeah.
Except for this is blue.
Yeah. Totally, because he's just solid. His legs. He kind of reminds me of, like, if you ever watched Tiny Toons, I think there were these white dogs that were like bodybuilders. They were like Hans and Franz.
Yes, Hans and Franz.
Yeah, he looks like that, but with bat wings in this illustration.
Yeah. I mean, they never give these creatures genitalia either. Like, other than...
This is for the local paper, okay?
I know, but they never say, dude had a big dick. Like, I need to know these things.
He's a grower, not a shower.
Yeah.
They kept it PC for the paper.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I seriously feel like he gives me the Bigfoot vibes other than his head. But like, and the wings, obviously. So is that all that Mothman was too? Like a flying Bigfoot of some sort? I just don't know.
Everything's a Bigfoot now.
Everything's a Bigfoot or just another variety.
I gotcha. I think he's got to be alien, interdimensional. I'm going to go more on the Mothman side than the Bigfoot side, but I'm definitely biased from other people, kind of like all that research I was doing. That's what I kept coming across. And I was like, yeah, sure, I can see it. But
I absolutely love this, and I love the fact that I was a teenager in the 90s.
And didn't hear about this?
I did not hear about this. This did not make our local paper because I was always reading the local paper for this kind of shit, so I did not see this.
That makes me feel like it isn't real if it wasn't that widespread, or like maybe pre-internet it just didn't spread that quickly. I don't know. Yeah,
because UFOs were in the paper all the time. We had local UFO accounts back then.
Right.
I shouldn't say back then. It's not that long ago, but I am pretty old, so.
Like, we don't use TikTok, old. Yeah.
No. Oh, my kids were trying to say we needed to get on TikTok.
No.
I just don't think I can go there. That's just too much work for me at this point in my life.
And this, before we got on, I saw this like article that was linking like a guy finds a Bigfoot toe, shows it on TikTok, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Don't make me go on TikTok to look at a Bigfoot toe.
Yeah.
He said it was a toe bone because it was like super big, and I looked at the picture of it, and he claims it's a Bigfoot toe. I'm
like, kudos to anybody who can use it and who chooses to use it. I just don't have that kind of time in my life.
Right. I was kind of done with social media after MySpace. And I dabbled in Instagram. I kind of refuse to get on Facebook. That's just me. Yeah.
I'm just not big into social media, and I only have the Instagram for the Coven and the Facebook for the Coven. Like, that only for the Coven stuff am I doing social media. Like, my family probably thinks I'm dead because they do not use it.
Same.
Yeah. Like, only the Coven exists.
Only the Coven.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's pretty much all I had on Batsquatch. I could have got more sightings, but they were really all very similar to where it becomes questionable again. Because they would all say the same exact thing, like 9 foot tall, blue fur, fangs. And so it was just like, well, do you have anything else? But it was just like very small details.
Mm-hmm. Just differences in maybe the head shape, head size.
Yeah. And the girls that were at Shasta, the first time they got interviewed. Oh, my dog's barking. Sorry. You're fine. Why are you barking? 1 second. There's nothing to look at. You need to stop it. Okay. Trying to redirect her.
That's okay. I'll edit this part out.
So
I'll edit it out.
Thanks. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. It's okay.
So yeah, sorry about dog barking, but the people who were interviewed after the Mount Shasta stuff, originally they were interviewed saying had the head like a petrodactyl, kind of like dinosaur-like.
Oh, a pterodactyl.
Yeah, and then they changed it to bat. So some people were like, "See, it's fake. She doesn't even know what she's talking about." But then, like, I read the whole interview, the second interview, and she was like, "I thought it was like that thing, but then I Googled that and I realized no, it's more bat-like." She was just kind of like trying to find the words for it, but didn't know what the words were to describe it. Like you were saying with ghosts, like when you see something from another dimension or whatever that you've never seen before, we don't have the vocabulary to describe these things.
Right. And so then we're like just trying to pick and choose what it is that we see.
Yeah.
We're like, I don't know what to compare this to.
Right. This is some unknown, unexplained phenomenon. And they were they couldn't even take a photo. That would have been amazing if they did.
Right. It does make you wonder, I mean, what is it that we're actually seeing? What were they seeing? But it's a fun, interesting account.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like we had to cover it since it's Washington's cryptid. So
yes, it's exciting.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing a Batsquatch with us.
No problem. And next week will be your turn to find us something cool to talk about.
Yes, I'm excited. The only hint I'm going to give you is it's fun.
Yes. If you can guess what it is, then you're psychic.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you know where to find us. We'll put all of our links down below. We're going to be posting our episodes this season. It looks like bi-weekly for now. And we will stay in touch until next time.
Don't forget to check out our Patreon, where we have put up our first video and are intending to do video recording now for you guys. I learned how to edit videos for this.
Yay!
I'm proud of myself.
Go Wendy!
So go check that stuff out. In the meantime, may you find happiness in your heart, love for yourself, and join each other. So blessings to all.